Hope everyone's having a great day. Welcome to Clawed Out Games. Today I'd like to go over one of my favorite casual decks for sure. You'll see why it's casual here in a second, but this is all built around GITROG, the Ravenous Ride. He's a 6/5 frog horror mount, triple haster for 5 in Golgari. And it says, whenever the GITROG deals combat damage to a player, you may sacrifice a creature that saddled it this turn. If you do, draw X cards, then put X lands from your hand onto the battlefield tapped, where X is the sacrificed creature's power, and saddle 1. And if you don't know, saddle is very similar to like a vehicle or crew. It just gives it an extra ability. It's still a creature. You don't have to saddle it to become a creature. It just gives it that extra ability. And before you go, this isn't just a list of big powered creature for a little bit of mana. It's actually a +1/+1 counters deck that has a lot to do with sacrificing and dies triggers. I've made a deck tech around Rayhan before on this channel. This is just one of my favorite cards. I think it's kind of better suited in Golgari instead of Abzan. It's just more focused, but so I guess you could say this is maybe like, probably like a secret commander for the deck. You love her ability and you really want her ability all over the field. So let's get straight into the piles here. I guess we can start off with the Rayhan. She says, she enters with 3 counters, and whenever a creature you control dies or is put in the command zone, if it had 1 or more +1/+1 counters on it, you may put that many +1/+1 counters on another creature. So again, you don't care if things die in here. You want to build things up massively and then sacrifice them for a ton of value. So a reason I said that it was a bit casual is I don't have a ton of interaction in here. It's just synergistic interaction type things. This isn't even interaction. We have Revitalizing Repast, which is just an MDFC. Put a counter on a creature and it gains indestructible, so it's protection. Then we have Whale of War, which I have it on interaction because it does have the ability of creatures target opponent controls get -1/-1. But you can also return up to 2 target creature cards from your graveyard to hand, which is relevant. You don't always love to straight reanimate things in this deck. You like to put it in your hand first because there's a lot of X spells. So if you reanimated it, it would just die as soon as it hit the battlefield. And then District Mascot is a little bit of artifact removal, plus it's just a funny looking card. So in order for a commander's ability to go off, you need to deal combat damage. That's what this pile is here for. It's all unblockability or evasion. It's also protection in terms of canopy cover. Can't be blocked except by creatures of flying reach. It can't be the target of spells or abilities your opponents control. Can't be blocked in Shroud. This is the classic Whisperless Cloak. Rogue's Passage. Alpha Authority, which gives it hexproof and can't be blocked by more than 1 creature, which there's not going to be very many creatures bigger than the frog, especially once you start putting counters on it. And then Brotherhood Regalia. It's a really, really good card. Let's go over some of these sacrifice outlets here. I don't really know where to put Evolution Witness. It's a sweet card. Whenever a counter's put on her, you get to return something from your graveyard to hand. I think this is a part of like a 4 or 5 card combo, which I'll go over here at the end, but I'll put that to the side. We have Inspiring Call, which is probably should have been in the interaction section. It gives stuff indestructible and you draw a card. Hollowmurk Surge, which is a card draw as well. And then here's our sack stuff. So Eldritch Evolution is a tutor, but as an additional cost, you sack a creature, which is the important part. Greater Good, which is a classic, straight sack a creature, draw cards equal to the sacrificed creature's power, then discard 3 cards. This is just perfect for this deck. This is exactly what this deck wants to do. You got Michaeloth. It's Devour 2 mechanic, and if it sticks around, it'll create you a ton of tokens. Ashnod's Altar, sack creature at 2 colorless. Saw in Half, which I'm curious to see how this, I've not been able to play this in this deck. Just with all of our X spells, if it just dies, I believe our things would just fizzle. But I do have a lot of cards that say the creatures enter with counters. So if you did have a 0/0 enter with a counter, it would stay alive. We got the Laser Top Quarry, which is a sack outlet on the land, which is good. And then 2 classic, just sack outlets there. We'll put this off to the side. Here's another sack outlet as well as a finisher. It's Girard. You pay 3, sack another creature. Each opponent loses life equal to the sacked creature's power. And if this deck goes off, you're going to have massive creatures. We got Champion of Lambholt, which is just a basic +1/+1 counter finisher, giving all your stuff unblockability. Let's go over the ramp really quick. There are some cool ramp synergies with the counters in here. You have Kami of the Whispered Hopes, which is a hardened scales, and it scales to its power, mana-wise. Steve, he loads sack stuff. Gyre Sage, again, scaling with the amount of counters on it. It's really good. Classic Learner Elves, Elvish Mystic. We got Flare of Cultivation, which is a sack outlet, and then it's just a free cultivate if you have a thing on board. Finhorn Elves. Incubation Druid. It's a mana dork until it has counters on it and tap for 3, which is really good. Decanter of Endless Water and Dot Vessel are both there to give you no maximum hand size. Again, if the deck does what it's supposed to, you're going to be drawing a ton of cards. You get Kadama of the West Tree, which is an amazing card, giving modified creatures trample, and whenever one hits, you get a basic. This is a really cool card in this deck. You add 1 mana, put a Nest counter on Twitching Doll, so it's just a 2 mana dork at its floor, which is really good. And then later on, you can sack it, tap it, sack it, and create a 2/2 spider for each counter on Twitching Doll. So if you have, 10 +1/+1 counters and 2 nesting counters, you will create 12 spiders. So it's really cool, really fun card. Really, really fun card. Okay, so then we would have, this is just like our generic +1/+1 counter stuff. It's a Hardened Scales effect on Winding Constrictor. And let me just get that out of the way. There's Hardened Scales. If 1 or more counters will be put on a creature, that many +1 are put on there instead. Both those say the same thing. We got Primordial Hydra, which at your upkeep, you double the counters on it. So it's just a fun +1/+1 counter card. Corpse Jack Menace, which I think is really underrated. It doubles the amount of counters put on creatures for 4, pretty good. Colonian Hydra, when it attacks, it doubles all +1/+1 counters, also great. Serenata is one of those cards I was talking about earlier. Each other creature you control enters with an additional +1/+1 counter. I'm gonna set this one to the side. Quilled Great Worm, which is an awesome card. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to you, during your turn, put that many counters on it. It doesn't need to deal damage to a player. It can deal damage to a creature. They get blocked. It's really good. Bloodsport Thrinax. Same text as Renata, but it's got the Devourer mechanic. So each creature you control enters with an additional counters equal to its own counters. Court of Garenberg, just a fun little monarch card. Railway Brawler, which is really good. Whenever a creature enters, put X counters on it where X is its power. Word of the Grove, which is a really sweet card. I don't think I've been able to get this to go off, but it seems really good. We have Tribute of the World Tree, which is a great card draw or buff spell. Arwen is another one. Each creature you control enters the battlefield with a number of counters on it equal to its toughness. Then we have our Vorinclex, which doubles all counters and halves all counters for opponents. It's a pretty good card. Let's go over our dice triggers really quickly. We have Death's Presence. It's a 6-mana enchantment, which isn't great, but again, this is a casual deck. I don't really care very much if it's optimized. It's just cool. Whenever a creature you control dies, put X counters on target creature control where X is that creature's power. Branching Evolution, doubling counters. I have Cleopatra, and I also have Genova, which do similar things, but also in very different ways. I thought about building decks around these two, but I never got them to go off, so they do great in the 99 here. Being a combat, they put counters on a creature, both in different ways, like I said, but Cleopatra says when a legend dies, you draw a card for each counter on it, and Genova says when a mutant dies during your turn, you draw cards equal to its power. So they're both really good card draw spells. We got Kieran Beastcaller. When one dies, when Beastcaller dies, distribute X counters among any number of target creatures you control where X is the counters on it. When Termagant Swarm dies, create 1/1 Tyranids equal to its power. The Hydra here, when it dies, you create an XX Hydra where X is the counters on it. When Lifeblood Hydra dies, you gain life and draw that many cards. Hangerback Walker, when he dies, you put a 1/1 colorless Thopter creature token with flying for each counter on it. I'm putting this one to the side. Servant of the Scale dies, put its counter somewhere else. Rampant Rejuvenator, when it dies. Hooded Hydra, when it dies, you create that many snakes. Host of the Hereafter, when it dies, or another creature dies, if it had counters on it, you move those counters. We got Skullspore Nexus, when it dies, you create funguses or fungis equal to its power. And then the Marketback Walker, when it dies, you draw a card for each counter on it. Putting this to the side. Goldvein Hydra, when it dies, you create a number of tapped treasure tokens equal to its power. And then finally, Nested Shambler, when it dies, you create a bunch of squirrels equal to its power. So a lot of dies triggers, and we love to see that. But if I've been able to pull this combo off once in my lifetime, I'm going to try to go over it right now. I didn't put this in the deck as a combo. It just kind of happened. And it was originally in the Rayhan, I think it was a Soul Tender partner deck. So Ravos Soul Tender partner deck. So let me try to get this to go off. So in theory, you have actually, once everything hits the battlefield, you don't need any more mana. But you need a Sack Outlet on the battlefield. You need Evolution Witness on the battlefield, which is really, really great. You need a Rayhan on the battlefield. I know it's a crazy card combo, but I think it's just super fun. And again, this is a casual, keep that in mind. You need some kind of dies triggers where X is, where it's an XX. So either of these guys will do. And then you need one of these kind of effects where the creatures enter with a counter. It's not the creature enters and then you put a counter on it. All three of these say a creature enters with a counter at least. So any of these three things will do. So the way the combo works is I sacrifice a creature to carry on feeder. You're going to sacrifice one of these XXs and create some amount of whatever it may be. You could draw cards, or in this case, you want to create an amount of +1/1 Thopter artifact creature tokens. So we would sacrifice this, and we'll just say create one artifact token. It really doesn't matter because this will go infinite. Okay, so when this happens, it will have it needs to have at least one counter on it. It's going to move that counter based on Rayhan's ability onto Evolution Witness, and whenever one or more counters are put on Evolution Witness, you get to return a target permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. So you're going to put this into your hand, okay? And then you can cast this for 0, but with one of these guys out, you're going to have it enter with a +1/+1 counter at least. Sacrifice it, and then trigger here. You're going to create a 1/1, and then trigger here will go off. You're going to put that counter onto Evolution Witness, and then trigger Evolution Witness, saying, counter's got put on me. You're going to get Marketback Walker back, and then cast it. This puts it in your hand, by the way. So you're going to cast it for 0, and then it will enter with a counter. Sacrifice it. Okay. Putting a counter here. Bringing Hangerback Walker back to your hand. Cast it for 0. Okay. Are we seeing where this is going? So you'd have infinite 1/1 Thopter tokens in the air, and then you'd have an infinitely big carry-on feeder too, and an infinitely big evolution witness as well. So yeah, that's just a fun little combo I found out on this deck. Again, I'd never looked this combo up. It just kind of happened, which is kind of ridiculous, but it's super fun. This is like probably one of my favorite play styles in Commander, is just building stuff up and sacrificing it for cool value. This is a cool Golgari thing, but again, what would that be? A 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 card combo, which would be really sweet to pull off. So that's all I got for you guys. I hope you guys have a great weekend. Peace.